And Avra, over to
Hey,
you.
hi everyone. Welcome to our last class in our series of four, Music and the Jewish Heart. If you've been, I think some of you have been with us for every class. Um, let's see what we've covered. We've covered the wordless melody, songs when there are no words. We covered songs for Olam Haba, songs of social justice for the world to come. Um, we covered um, songs to warm our hearts and cultivate joy in this cold season where the nights are long and it's cold outside. And for our last class, be um, we will be exploring singing ourselves home, the magic of the Hebrew chant. Um, and this class is going to be a little bit connected, especially to the first class, though the songs we'll be singing and chanting tonight will have words. Um, but uh, Sort of one of the spiritual goals of this class in particular is about um, it's kind of about turning inwards. Um, and I find that the more that I sort of cultivate what I like to call my own inner juice, which people tell me all the time, whenever you say inner juice, I hear inner Jews. Which is just kind of a funny thing. But the more that I actually spend time cultivating this inner juice, what Abraham Joshua Heschel calls like kind of our own home, um, I actually find that in communal, collective spaces, I'm able to actually drop into a more deeper place. So I don't orient us towards the inner experience um, to the exclusion of those collective prayer spaces, but rather I think that they mutually enforce each other. So my go around question for you all tonight is you can remind us your name, where you're calling in from, and what is a phrase or a teaching that has been grounding for you. In another time, I might have said mantra, but that actually has that there's like a specific lineage where they use the word mantra, and I'm not of that lineage. So, but kind of that's the essence. What's when you've, been in times where you needed to sort of ground in something, what were the words that grounded you?
Hmm.
Um, I will start. Um, I have been I'm Avra, calling in from West Philadelphia. And I have been really leaning into I've been studying a text with my friend Rabbi Micah, who is also in the Reconstructing Judaism world. And we're studying this sort of Hasidic text about creating a spiritual group practice space. And it's all about sort of like in these moments we have where we sometimes forget about the mystery of being alive. And 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 Micah asked the question of he phrased it of sort of putting it out, could you be with me, Shekhinah, or sacred presence, or God, could you be with me in this moment? And I find and his practice is to bring that even into his like unholy moments, when you're checking email or about to go to the grocery store, or doing something where you're actually kind of choosing to zone out, inviting a higher consciousness, inviting spirit into that. So could you be with me, sacred presence, is a phrase that has been really supportive for me. So who would like to start? Yeah, Fran, go for it.
I'm Fran, I'm in Fairmount. I've started a practice of saying the Moda Ani prayer when I first wake up and before I get out of bed. And I'm pretty pleased that I've actually memorized it now after, 6 months, a year? And I like it because it says, thank you for being faithful to me. So it just reminds me that there's a power out there that's my friend.
Mm. I love that you said that. Tonight's teachings are really going to come from the works of Rabbi Shefa Gold. And Shefa Gold, yeah, she's really big into the magic of the Hebrew chant. I took a 4-part class with her on it, and the first chant that she taught was the Moda Ani. Um, and she said something about that really stuck with me is it feels personal, to like be woken up in the morning and like have all of the specific parts of our consciousness and our body like work to make that happen. um, these are very sort of like specific experiences that are happening, and thank you, life force, for waking me into this new day and having faith in me as a human to wake up. um, she loves this chant so much. She has a app called like Flavors of Gratefulness, and it's just all of these different melodies for Moda Ani that she creates as part of her practice. So recommend that, and I'm glad you brought that up, Fran. Um, yeah, who else wants to go next about a phrase that has been grounding for you some point in your life? Yeah, Bobby, go for it. Oh, I think you muted yourself accidentally.
Okay. I can think of two, and they both relate back to experiences I've had with Shefa Gold. I've been lucky enough to chant with her and to pray with her. And anyway, one is Ozi Vizimrat Yah, Vayachili Lishua. And I can't translate it exactly because I don't want to get it wrong. But I believe, and you can correct me, but I believe it's with you, God, behind me, will get through, more or less. Okay. The other one is a chant that I think is Shefa's, but I remember hearing it done by the people that were part, oh God, now I can't remember the name. It was Margot Stein and Miriam and Razel, and it's Zehayom. It is a Shefa. Zehayom, Zehayom. So it's this day. This is the day we have. And for those of you who attend Shemanu, you'll recognize the words because Joanne often quotes them at the beginning of Shemanu. This is the day God has given us. Let's rejoice in it. So those are the two that I kind of turn to when I need some extra help and support.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah, Evie, go ahead.
I don't know if it's answering your question, but the words that come to me are Lo yisa goy al goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall there be war anymore.
Thank you. Do you want to say a moment about what that does for you?
I may have said to this group that one time on a very long drive from Indiana to Florida, when I was with a good friend, and we were singing to try to stay awake. And she was from Church of the Brethren. And she was singing this song, and I couldn't remember what it was. And we were doing it in 2 parts. and then it clicked with me. And this speaks to me of it being a universal truth. It doesn't, we don't have to be Jews to appreciate what this means.
Beautiful. Thank you. Debbie, yeah, go ahead.
Hi, I'm borrowing my husband's earphones. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So, unfortunately, I haven't had a tremendous education in Judaism. So the phrases I'm thinking of don't come from that.
Yeah, and that's totally fine.
Okay.
Don't have to. Yeah.
So, there's a prayer I say in part of my 12-step program. Dear God, take away my difficulties. And the other part is relieve me of the bondage of self. And that's one especially that I say a lot, it's because sometimes I get into a place, it's all about me, so I pray to be relieved of that. But I love another one that I wish was something I turn to, but I write down sometimes, and that is pause, pray, proceed. That God is in that pause. And I don't always remember to pause.
Beautiful.
That's it.
Thank you. Yeah, Diane, go ahead.
I think it fits, but I don't know the Hebrew, but from our high holy day services, who by fire, who by whatever, who by whatever. And I think it kind of gives me, it just clarifies for me, the frailty of life. And I'm talking about, I've had this thought for a very long time. It's not just, recent times. So I'm just saying that it's something that, if the word is comfort, it sort of is, because it gives me the perspective that I guess ultimately choose life, and because you never know, and it's random. So realizing that somehow in the context of hope and prayer and belief, somehow that's, if it's the word, if we're looking for comforting, I'm not sure if it's comforting, but it's a clarity for me. It gives me clarity.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you. And yeah, these don't have to be Jewish, just any phrase, any words. Has anyone ever leaned on "this too shall pass"?
Can I just say that I listened to the recording of the previous class, and Avra, that thing you did about, this, I've been using that. I love it.
Yes. That's awesome. What has it been doing for you?
Well, it energizes me. It's like bad thoughts, get away. It's like...
Beautiful. Yeah, Joanne. Oh, Joan Goldberg, sorry. Oh, hold on. You are still muted. Let's get you unmuted.
Oh gosh, I forgot what I was going to say while I was looking for these keys. I'm sorry. It might come back to me.
That's okay. Yeah, we're just thinking of phrases that have been grounding for you at some point. Hi, for those recently joined, we're just sharing a phrase that has been helpful or grounding for us at some point. Yeah, Karen, go ahead.
So when you first asked us, the first thing that popped into my head was this too shall pass. Which when you think about it, sort of wants you to sort of implies you really don't like what's going on in the present. And I think why I thought of it is that I had a very dear friend die suddenly over the weekend. And I think I'm just looking to get out of this, like, you know, chronic place of grief about it. And so anyway, that's what first came to my mind, this too shall pass. And then I thought of one that I use a lot, which is breathe. Because when things get tough, I tend to, I will often hold my breath and forget to breathe. And that's really helpful. I know when I'm an attorney, and when I was early on, and it was like one of my first trials, I was representing a juvenile, and I was so nervous, and his father was sitting next to me, and he just turned to me. He must have known how nervous I was, and he was probably thinking, oh my God, and she's defending my son. And he just turned to me in the calmest voice and said, breathe. And it just like was the biggest gift anyone could have given me in that moment. Yep. And I was able to, you know, I was able to perform. It was, he really got it.
I love that, because it's like he said one word and it changed your experience. And it also shows like sometimes we don't have to do it all by ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have to come up with all of the spiritual reminders by ourselves. The power of, we need these reminders.
Yeah.
Yeah. Phyllis and Nathan, Natan?
That's me. So I'm going to say, so it sort of related to this too will pass. This dates back way back when we used to live on kibbutz, and when anything would go wrong, the kibbutzniks always said, "You have to say it there. It will be okay. It'll be okay." And I sometimes try to remember, whatever's happening now that's not good, it will be okay.
Yeah. This is some great collective wisdom right here. Yeah, Enid, go ahead.
I always think of que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. It's an acceptance.
Yeah, I was going to say, it immediately brought to mind, speaking of 12-step, the serenity prayer, which I feel like is just so brilliant. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. And then it goes on, the courage to change the things that I can. And then acknowledges that sometimes we don't know the difference, and the wisdom to know the difference. Yeah, Patty. Oh, hold on, let's unmute you.
Here we go. After a slight lapse of probably 70 years or so, I started to say my prayers again before I go to sleep. Now I lay me down to sleep and I go through the family to bless them. And that feels very good.
Did you say, you said for 70 years?
From the time I was a child, I guess as I was an adult, I stopped doing that.
Hmm.
And recently I started again, and it feels good to say that.
Wow. That's beautiful. Would you be willing to share, like, what was the impetus for starting again?
I don't recall, but one night that seemed like the thing to do, and I've done it every night since.
Wow. It's awesome. It's awesome. Hi, Lori. We're doing a phrase that has been grounding for you at a point in your life. No pressure, just so you know what's happening in the room. Okay, last. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Lori, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I teach, and every lesson we start with the song Achenu Kol Beit Yisrael. We're all one family, and that's been very grounding for me. And if I get started with a lesson and I haven't done that, then the students are like, "Hey, Moralea, we didn't sing it." So it's like a grounding that we just do the first 4 words, and that just grounds everybody, seems to.
Mm. Yeah, great. Okay, anyone else want to share who hasn't shared yet? We would love to hear from you. Okay, so why did I ask this question? As I mentioned at the beginning, this week's focus is singing ourselves home, the magic of the Hebrew chant. And the reason I asked this question is the medicine of a chant is with its repetition. Whether that's something we say out loud to ourselves, I even think, whether it's something we say to ourselves in our mind, whether that's something we say with others, but it's the returning to it and the deepening into it. And unlike or different than the potency and the medicine of the nigun, the wordless melody, the chant acknowledges that the words have power. I mean, our Jewish sort of creation story, how does God start creating the world? Words. And I think a more mystical way of understanding this is words create worlds. And they can be symbolic, but they can also really evoke something. They can be quite evocative in that way and cause shifts in that way. So just a quick show of hands, no shame, just for my own information. Who was able to read the Shefa Gold reading for today? Great, love this crew's honesty. Okay, so we are gonna look at a couple of just takeaways from that, and then we're gonna get to singing. And Bobby, I know you said you've mentioned Shefa Gold workshop. Anyone else here had the blessing of studying with Shefa Gold? Wow. Cool. Okay, so Amy and Karen and Bobby, like, please feel free to chime in with your wisdom, and anyone else who's played in the realm of chant. Okay, so I'm gonna share.
Can I just add something?
Yes,
So
please.
some of you may remember when Jessie was our cantor, she brought in Joey Weisenberg for a couple of sessions, and we did some chanting with Joey, which was really amazing. So I often think back to that, and I think back to Jessie's teaching us about chanting and what Avra was saying about the power of repeating and what it does for you. So I just wanted to throw, because some of you may remember that as well.
Yes, yes, thank you. Okay, I'm just gonna do a little screen share. Oops. So these are a couple chapters. I mean, she has this book, The Magic of the Hebrew Chant. It's really epic. It's sort of her philosophy on things. And I just took a few of the few chapters that sort of capture the essence of it. So we'll just read this first paragraph. Chanting, the musical and rhythmic repetition of a sacred phrase from a holy text, has been the doorway for me into the depths of my own heart and into the heart of my inheritance. For as long as I can remember, I was fascinated with the sounds of Hebrew prayer, not just for what they meant, but also for where they could take me. I found that if I focused in on one phrase, repeating it with a compelling melody, then that phrase could transport me to expansive heights and fathomless depths. And I think that Shefa's Torah here is so cool because I think in some ways, I mean, chanting can be part of a service, but the idea of chanting sort of stands in contrast with, you know, if you're doing a full liturgy service, you know, you kind of, the medicine is different. You're moving through a lot of content. And Shefa's Torah is sort of about micro focusing. And she has a way of like focusing on a line from Shir HaShirim for a year and just going very, very, very deep. And I think both are very compelling and speak to different parts of our souls. But that's what she's getting at. When you really go into it, it actually can open things up. And then she goes back to tell her own story. She was a folk singer for many years, and she loved it, but it was missing something for her. And then she talks about, okay, the sacred phrase, how a chant is different from a song. In acts of genuine expression, what goes on between the soul of man, or a human, and the word of prayer, what goes on between the soul of a human and the word of prayer is more than an act of employment, of using words as if they were tools. Here, the soul and the word react upon each other. The word is a creative force. And this is a quote from Heschel. Words are not made of paper. Words of prayer are repositories of the Spirit. It is only after we kindle a light in the words that we are able to behold the riches they contain. It is only after we arrive within a word that we become aware of the riches our souls contain. It is only after we arrive within a word that we become aware of the riches our souls contain. And Heschel was known for his sort of sentences that pack a punch, that kind of hit you deep in your soul, and you're also like, what exactly is he saying? I know this hits, but what exactly is he saying? So I'm curious if anyone has thoughts about either how this is hitting or what Heschel might be getting at here. And I know I do have to unmute you, so raise your hand if you'd like to speak. Okay, we'll keep going. Okay, so now she gives her thought. This quote from 20th century theologian and philosopher Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel of blessed memory strikes me as a beautiful description of the practice of chanting. When we chant, we kindle a light in the words and use that light as a lantern on our journey through the inner landscape. A chant is different from a song. It is a meditative practice that encompasses and integrates our inner and outer dimensions. When I sing a song, I'm communicating meaning and expressing beauty to the listener out there. But when I chant, I am also communicating with and awakening places inside me that need to hear and be touched by that chant. I'm gonna read that again. When I chant, I am also communicating with and awakening places inside me that need to hear and be touched by that chant. A song may entertain, but a chant is meant to transform. When you have learned the melody and rhythm of a chant, you've only touched the surface. Then you can begin to explore the inner dimensions of the chant. The practice of chant is simple and accessible to everyone, yet it provides opportunities for a lifetime of fascinating exploration and refinement. Through our use of chant as a spiritual practice, we explore the pathways of divine flow. This is a phrase that she absolutely loves, getting in the flow. We learn about ourselves. We connect with each other. We open ourselves to the wisdom of our ancestors, and we heal and nurture ourselves and the world. This is a pretty what do I want to say? Like a tall order. What? Just by saying a phrase over and over again, we can like transform and like nurture parts of our souls that need that nurturance. We don't have to be like on a mountaintop or swimming in a beautiful lake or sitting around a campfire. Yes, those things are awesome. And, you know, a lot of times more instant or just like, you know, easier to feel sort of capital C connected. The beauty of the chant is you can do this anywhere. And it's doing what Heschel calls is creating that home for our soul inside of us where we can take it anywhere. I'll pause here just to see if anyone wants to say anything at this point. Okay, great. And let's see, there's one more thing I wanted to. Okay. Yeah, so then she goes ahead and outlines, okay, what are the grounds of a chant? Yeah, let's read these. Okay. She says there are three phases that transform chant from simple singing into a contemplative, ecstatic meditation practice. Okay. Number one, establishing the ground of a chant. What are we doing here? How do you do it? What's going on? What are we after? Number 2, as the chant is happening, cultivating in awareness of the components of the chant, variables that affect consciousness. So this might be, okay, when we say the word cry out, feel yourself crying out to the divine, you know? When we talk about, let's get quieter on this phrase and see what happens. So cultivating awareness. And then 3, learning to enter the silence that follows. And Shefa is very big on the power of silence. This is when the transformative power of the chant does its work. It is as if we are building a mishkan, a holy sanctuary with the sound, intention, meaning, and fine attention to detail. Then, in the silent afterward, we must learn to enter the mishkan and experience God's presence that we have invited in with the chant. Yeah, it seems like in my experience, singing, chanting, praying, whatever sounds we're collectively making, actually, like, it seems to alter the air. Like in that silence after a sound, it's a special space. Like I appreciate that she's calling it a mishkan. Like you can, it's like when you actually stop, it's like a mini Shabbat. You can like take in the power of what you've just done. Is this resonating with people? Is this feeling like compelling? Like it matches experiences you've had or that you want to have? Yeah, Debbie.
So I have to say it's not resonating in the sense of chanting on my own. But when I was in my 20s, my mother was very involved in yoga. And she took me to what was called a satsang, where they did Indian chanting. And I mean, none of it had any meaning to me as far as what we were saying. But it was my first experience. I consider it my first spiritual experience because it was an amazing experience of feeling like I was connected to everybody in the room when we were chanting, like a vibration almost. And so chanting on my own doesn't resonate with me at all, but chanting in a group. Well, and I also find if I meditate with other people, that it's stronger. So I have experienced that power of being with other people.
Yeah, and when we're singing the same song, like Laura, you mentioned Achenu, like everyone is tuning in to the same words, the same like cadences and flow, and there's a power there that different things are possible than when we're just different. If different things are possible than when we're just in conversation. Any other thoughts? Yeah, Karen.
Yeah, my dog is barking, so she's adding. But I think I think I was at a retreat. It was years ago. And Shefa was like the guest teacher or something. I don't know if it was Alat Chaim. Does anybody remember Alat Chaim? Retreats, Jewish retreat center. They used to call it Omega, like the Jewish Omega. But anyway, so we were doing the chants, and there was one. It was like pretty intense and long, and then she just like ended it, and like you said, that silence was just like mind-blowing after the chanting. It was just I don't remember experiencing something like that before. It was really amazing. It was like, and she says, the purpose of the chant is to get to the silence.
Yeah.
So.
Beautiful. Okay, any other thoughts? And then we'll get to some chants. We'll get to some chanting. Yeah, Amy.
Well, I mean, this kind of builds on what I guess Debbie had been talking about, that and I don't know that Shefa really approved of this, but when I've been in situations where we're chanting, I like to feel like I hear other voices and I'm doing things with my voice to match or not match the other voices. I mean, she has the tune, this is what this is the chant, this is the chant, but I like to, harmonize or, feel like I'm bouncing off of somebody else and feel that energy go around the room and feel like, oh, there's somebody singing with me. And your voices, when you're with a group, you can change who you're hearing. And so for me, it's hearing what those other people are doing and feeling that I'm doing it with all the different voices in the room. But I don't know that that's always kosher.
I think it is.
It is? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, she also has she has like, I can't remember what they are, but it's 7 different roles.
Yes, I remember that. Oh my God, yes, yes.
Yeah. And so it's like everyone has a different role to play. And yeah, for me, I was in a singing circle and a couple of people were really dominating, and the facilitator said, I'm gonna invite you to only to sing so that you can hear the voices of people on both sides of you. And so it's sort of, it brings everyone into collaboration. And to me, like harmonies, that's all part of the attunement. So I'm very with you on that. Okay, let's do some singing. Okay, so we're going to start out with one that Bobby, you mentioned at the beginning, that many of you, I wouldn't be surprised if you know, Oziva Zimratia. And I am going to put the words in the chat. And Shefa was actually the person who introduced, I think I heard her actually, I think I heard her on the Judaism Unbound podcast, and that's kind of fell in love. Which, by the way, I will be doing a class with Judaism Unbound on Abraham Joshua Heschel. It's a 3-part series. If you want to come, shameless plug, I'll send out the info. It's going to be later in the spring on our email. It's an awesome podcast. It's really juicy, and they asked, okay, well, your Oziv Zimrat, so famous. How did you come up with that, or that song? And she said, it's not a song for me. It's medicine that I turn to when I want to get in right balance between the work that I can do as an individual and surrender. So effort and surrender. Sometimes we're putting in a lot of effort, and what we actually need to do is, okay, turn it over. Let it go. Like, I've done all I can. And sometimes we can sit there being like, I trust that it's all going to work out. And what we actually need is to move our tuchases and do some things. So it's bringing those things in right relationship. And this is a very direct translation. Ozi, ha'oz shali, my strength, my individual capacity and efforting, ve'zimrat ya, and the song of spirit will be my salvation. So this is medicine for whenever you are needing to come back into balance. And you don't even have to know what you need more of. But if you have a sense, hey, you know what? I could be surrendering a little, and I need some divine help. I need some help. Or you want help being able to effort. You need a little bit more You need a little bit more to dig a little more deeply from that well, and you need a little more resource. So I'm going to invite us all to sort of close your eyes if it feels comfortable. And turn inwards for a moment. And ask yourself the question, and we won't share this, this is just for you. What's an area in my life in which I could use some balance in terms of surrender and effort? As you're thinking about that, 1 second. So holding that area of our life where we are wanting to be more in the divine flow, we are going to sing this song. We're just going to sing it and stay with what comes up. This is a big teaching of Shefa's. If you start to feel frustration, sing into that frustration. If you start to feel monotony, lean into that monotony and just see what happens. Ozi vezimratya vayehi lishua. 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 Stay with it. Ozi vezimratya Yeshua, Ozi vezimrat ya, vayehi lilishua. Ozi vezimrat ya, vayehi lilishua. Ozi vezimrat ya, vayehi lilishua. Give it your all, Ozi vezimrat ya, vayehi lilishua. 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 How juicy is that silence? I could stay in that for like 10 more minutes. All right, a question for all of you to ask yourself. What did you notice, either in the sound or the silence? All right, what did you notice in the sound or the silence? Enid, yeah.
Well, I noticed the more I sang it, the more I sang it with energy. And the more my whole body got involved with it. And that was a good feeling. And then in the silence, of course, I was still hearing the singing. There was sort of a sense of wholeness and peace.
Beautiful. Yeah. Let's do Patty and then Natan.
Well, you said about what you said about the silence and such. It took no time at all for my voice to get hoarse. And then I got into, and that's why I had to tell Bobby I couldn't go with the choir, because, and that's why I was kind of caught up on the physical sensation and pulled me a little bit out of the prayerful sensation.
Yeah. Yeah, and that can totally happen. And I don't think that, you know, we might not be able to make the sounds that we want our voice to make, but I don't think that necessarily has to affect, our ability to receive the medicine. Sometimes it feels like the thing to let my voice rest and to just be in it. And I remember in college, I took a class, French Literature of Existentialism. I don't remember much, but I do remember that Jean-Paul Sartre said that music, his claim, not mine, music is the one art form that is a continual call to presence, because you can travel with the sound. And in there, this is my interpretation, find yourself being in the song without even having to sing. Yeah, and then Natan, Mike, is it Nathan or Natan? Oh, Patty, did you want to add on? Hold on one second. Let's unmute you. Hold on one second, Patty. You're still muted, and I don't want to miss a word.
So can you, if if throat is an issue,
Yeah,
in singing,
yeah.
can you kind of mentally be doing it without physically doing it and still gain from it?
I certainly think so. Rabbi Nachman, who we studied last class, he was really big into hitbodedut, which is personal prayer to God. And one of his most powerful ways, and it's a practice where normally you think of hitbodedut, you think of literally talking out loud. You go out into the forest and you literally talk out loud to God. His favorite way of doing hitbodedut was what he called a silent scream. So he said, I could be with a room full of people and screaming out to God in my head. And that was his favorite way of talking to God. And he didn't have to make any noise whatsoever.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, Natan? Oh, no, sorry. No, I keep calling on Natan. It's another couple. It just says iPhone.
Yeah, this is Bill. I went from the peacefulness and serenity of the chant to really a jarring noise of the silence. It was as though almost a clanking, which I found sort of odd and a little strange. But I was really into the chant. Except I can't chant at all or sing at all. But I can listen.
What was that last part?
I can't sing or chant at all, but I can listen.
Yeah, and that's okay.
You do not want to hear me sing.
As long as it's balanced out with it, where I can also hear the people on the other side of you. Yeah, it's quite jarring, that distinction. And yeah, I can't remember how you put it. You put it clanking. I think that the invitation is to be curious about what does that clanking feel like, and to stay with that clanking. But yeah, that's a great observation. Bobby?
So I never thought about this in this way before, but to me, the silence after the chanting reminded me of what I've learned both in PT and in yoga, which is that after I do an exercise or a certain movement, we often take a few second pause to let it incorporate, so the body can incorporate what I've done. And to me, the silence after the chanting did the same thing. It was an opportunity for my body to absorb the chanting.
Yeah, something happens. Like it's almost like I feel this like zzz, like it's like we've just built this sort of collective power. You know, whether you're making sound, whether you're with it inside your head, whatever's happening, and then it's like I feel like it enters my bones or something. Yeah. It's pretty cool. We need integration. It's like, what is all of this without integration, without that sacred pause?
That's the word, integration.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll take one more comment and then I want to get to our second chant. Yeah, Fran.
I don't know when it came to me, but this words came to me. I can move mountains. They just happened. And I think it was when the silence happened that those words bubbled up. It was like my brain had to be turned off from this chant, and then another part of the brain said that. And it's funny because when we're thinking about the integration, I was trying to let go. That was my intention, but then this word bubbled up. Yeah.
And maybe you received that because you were like, I let go.
Maybe.
And then something that needed to. That's cool, Fran. I would be curious to like just kind of have that phrase in your consciousness.
Yeah.
This week and just see what happens. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, there's one other song I'm gonna teach you. I'm gonna share. We actually did this at High Holiday Services. It's a sort of slightly adapted version of a line from Eicha, the book of Lamentations. I'm gonna put it in the chat. Yamenu Kekedem. And normally in the original text, this line is in the plural. It's like we. But Rabbi Micah Shapiro, who put the melody to this, changed it to be more of a personal meditation and to be about me. It's talking about me singular, and it's return me, and I will return, renew my days, kekedem, as their essence. And so this is a song about the call to return. And, you know, this can be, well, okay, let's do this. Let's do a little turning inwards again. I invite you to close your eyes if it's comfortable. The question is, what am I needing to return to? It could be to a sacred center, to remembering the miracle of my aliveness, to the playful inner child part of myself. What do I need to return to? And this chant that we'll now sing is in dedication to that. So I'm just going to do a little teaching because this one I think probably less of you know, even though we did it on High Holidays, so hopefully it will ring a bell. Hashiveni, try that with me. Hashiveni. Next part. Ve'ashuva. Ve'ashuva. All together it goes. Hashiveni. Ve'ashuva. Hashiveni. Ve'ashuva. One more time. Hashiveni. Ve'ashuva. Then we go. Chadesh. Chadesh. Try that again. Chadesh. Then it goes Chadesh, Chadesh. Yameinu. Chadesh, Chadesh. Yameinu. Chadesh, Chadesh. Yameinu. So from the beginning of the Chadesh part, it goes Chadesh, 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 Yameinu. And the last part, Kekedem, Kekedem, Kekedem. So from Chadesh, 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 Yameinu, Kekedem. Chadesh, Chadesh, Yameinu, Kekedem. Chadesh, Chadesh, Yameinu, Kekedem. Now we're gonna sing it from the beginning, calling to your heart what you're wanting to return to. If it's really hard, that's okay. Just yan and I, or just flow along. Hashiveni. Ve'ashuva. Hashiveni. Ve'ashuva. Chadesh, Chadesh, Chadesh. Yameinu, Kekedem. Chadesh, Chadesh, Yameinu, Kekedem. Stay with whatever is coming. Hashiveni. Ve'ashuva. Hashiveni. Ve'ashuva. Chadesh, Chadesh, Chadesh. Yameinu, Kekedem. Chadesh, Chadesh. Yameinu, Kekedem. Hashiveni ve'ashuva Hashiveni ve'ashuva Chadesh, Chadesh, Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem Chadesh, Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem Lean into whatever's happening. Hashive Heini Ve'ashuva Hashiveni Ve'ashuva Chadesh, Chadesh, Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem Chadesh, Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem. Last time, give it your all. Hashiveni, return us. Ve'ashuva Hashiveni Ve'ashuva Chadesh, Chadesh, Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem Chadesh, Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem. Taking in the sweetness of the silence, taking in all the collective power that we created tonight in our different little Zoom boxes, but deeply, deeply attuned. May we take this peace with us to sleep tonight. And may we remember that the chants and the silence after are always, always accessible for us. With that, this is the official end of the class, official end of the series. We only lost a handful of people during those chants. So those of you who are still with us, I know you're really in it. It has been such a pleasure teaching this class and getting to grow and learn and experiment alongside all of you. Please reach out with any questions or anything you want to share. I will stay on for a couple of minutes, just if anyone wants to share anything about that last chant that we just did and your experience of that, or anything else that you're taking away from the class. I'll stay on for a couple of minutes, but just the folks who have stayed with us till the 8:15 ending, thank you. And I don't know.
Avra, I want to thank you so much not only for tonight, but for the series. I really enjoyed it, and I want to give a big shout out to Diane for organizing this with you. Our education chair, Diane. So thank you both. It was really great.
I know I'm your mother. Lave Ha'ir is my new favorite congregation away from Highland Park. I loved meeting all of you, and it was so, whether you were my daughter or not, it just lifted me up. And I loved your explanations, and I loved your readings, and I loved hearing you share from your heart. It was really fantastic. Thank you.
Oh,
Well, thanks.
Lori, it's been great having you with us, and you're welcome anytime.
And Lori's zooming in from Highland Park, Illinois.
Right.
Wow.
Not New Jersey.
Yeah, not New Jersey or Texas. Apparently there's Highland Parks everywhere. Yeah.
I
You can
just wanted to share that the second time I realized when we stopped chanting, it isn't just the silence, actually. It's not like no sound. It's like a vibrating silence. I don't know if it's from singing in your head, where your head is still vibrating or the sound is still in there, but it's like an alive silence. It's like got like a movement or a life of its own. It's not just no words. It's like a very alive silence.
Absolutely. I really, absolutely resonates. Yeah, Maria.
Wanted to thank you for this. The first chant you did, I didn't chant along. I just listened because music speaks to me sometimes. And with that chant, I just let it go where I wanted it. And it was, the higher the notes were, the more I soared. It was like I was remembering this video that I watch of, soars across the mountains and the trees. And I found myself being sad. And I thought, well, that's all. And then I got homesick. And but the second song, the Hashivenu, I sang along, I chanted along with that one. And I would find myself going up into that soaring sensation, being above the trees to literally being dragged back down to earth, being here in the present time. It was like return. I was here, and then I would go back up and then, come back to that. And I realized, I think where the homesickness came from was as a very, very small child that survived the gas stove explosion. And I went somewhere else outside of my body. And I think that's what that chant did. It returned me to that experience of being homesick. You can choose how to define which homesickness it was there. And but anyway, so the second one grounded me in the present, but it was lovely. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Thanks for sharing that, Maria. Yeah, I'm thinking about this line that Shefa Gold says, repeating it with a compelling melody. That phrase can transport me both to expansive heights and fathomless depths.
Yeah. I have to go. Thanks a lot, Avra. It's wonderful.
I'm so glad.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Avra. And I hope we can do more of this. Maybe as those of us that are going to join the choir. I would like to explore this further.
The chanting?
If that's part of, I grew up chanting in the synagogue. That also does something for me, but this is different. And I think something that could be very relaxing and taking one more into a different level.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
Shefa has an album called, do we still call them albums? I guess so. Called Enchantment. Chant, get it? Enchantment. And I would highly recommend it. It's really lovely.
Definitely. Do you just look that up on YouTube and come to it?
Not the well, I don't think the album would be on YouTube. I don't
No,
know.
but
You can Google Shefa Gold and find it.
how do you spell her first name?
Shefa.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, Enid, we can definitely, I'm really glad you brought that up. Bye. We can definitely
Good
do it.
night.
Good night,
Thank you.
Karen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be a whole different part of being part of that.
I mean, it's a synagogue choir. So, you know, if it was a neighborhood choir where people are just like, I'm just coming here to sing, you know, but we're connected through the, you know,
Yeah,
the,
I know when we've traveled and we've gone to other synagogues and you hear a prayer where the melody is exactly the same as what you're used to, what you grew up with. The continuity of that is so there's such warmth to that security feeling, and like David just said, security, that all over the world people are doing the same thing. There's a connectivity which is quite amazing.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
but thank you for the whole series. It's been very different, certainly, from anything else that we've done or experienced, and that's one of the beauties of our little shul.
Oh, well, thanks for being open and rolling with my different things.
Well, when you have a younger daughter like we do, who's into, well, in her case, alternative music, but more than that, it's into humanity and different experiences. And she's opened so many to us. And you've just opened another one, which I'm looking forward to more.
Awesome.
Okay.
And with that, Lila Tov.
Lila Tov. Okay. Thanks, Bobby, for all of your tech
I'm
support.
gonna close it out now.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll talk to you, Avra.
Okay, sounds good. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.